1 week has passed, yet the weight in my chest has not lifted. I sit on my apartment floor, surrounded by boxes of memories. Rain taps the window like it is trying to get my attention. I open an old album, and dust rises in the dim light. There is a picture of my 8th birthday at the kitchen table. A tiny cake with 1 candle, because the bakery messed up the order. My parents laughed it off and said I should be grateful anyway. I turn the page and find my brother's 10th birthday at a luxury venue. Balloons everywhere, and a magician hired just to impress his friends. I remember clapping for him while wishing someone had asked what I wanted. Next photo shows me holding an honor roll certificate in high school. My parents are in the back checking their phones, barely smiling at me. Then I see my brother's sports trophy celebration with banners and speeches. His face fills the frame, while I am cropped out at the edge. I close the album, but the past won't close with it. I reach for a folder where I keep my scholarship papers. Full ride to university, earned by years of studying alone in my room. Their note attached reads, "Work part-time for your own expenses." Next to it, I find my brother's acceptance letter to a private academy. Bold handwriting from my parents saying, "Focus on your dreams, we got you." I adjust my glasses, but the unfairness does not blur. Receipts show my side jobs through college, cleaning dorms and tutoring strangers. Meanwhile, my brother was posting photos from beaches during school breaks. I swallow hard, anger and sadness sharing space in my throat. I open a small metal box and find birthday cards addressed to me. Short messages that could be copied and pasted from a template. I search for warmth in ink that never held intention. I find the card from last Christmas and stare at it again. The printed snowman almost seems to smirk at my foolish hope. Hope that never learns its lesson, no matter how often it is ignored. I pick up a pen and start writing numbers on a notebook. Money I earned versus money my family gifted to my brother every year. The difference looks like a canyon no bridge can cross. I whisper to myself that it is not about money. It is about what the money represents, what choices were made. They assumed I would survive on my own, so they never looked back. They assumed he needed them, so they gave endlessly without question. I realize I have been trained to minimize my needs for decades. Silence became my native language in this family. I wonder when I first learned to disappear to keep the peace. Maybe when I stopped asking for hugs after they forgot to notice. Maybe when praise only arrived if I achieved something extraordinary. I press my hand to my chest, steadying the hurt that rises again. For the first time, I let myself say the truth out loud. I deserved love without earning it like a prize. I deserved to be seen, even when I didn't shine. I deserved to take up space at the table. The words tremble, but they finally exist. I wake up early on Saturday determined to breathe differently. The sun filters weakly through curtains I hung myself last year. I search online and sign up for a pottery class near my school. It feels strange to choose something just for joy instead of survival. At the studio, clay sticks to my palms like a promise of change. The instructor smiles and says to let the clay guide me slowly. I am not used to slow. I am not used to being gentle with myself. Still, I try. A small bowl forms uneven and wobbling under my fingers. But it is mine, imperfect and real in a way I rarely allow. For the first time in a long while, I feel curious instead of tense. Therapy becomes a new routine on Tuesdays after work. The office smells like eucalyptus and freshly cleaned carpets. My therapist listens, without interrupting or comparing or minimizing. She asks how long I have been apologizing for existing. The question hits like a punch because I do not know the answer. I talk about the card and the birthdays and the silence. She nods and says I have been surviving instead of living. Her words sit heavy but true like a stone in my pocket. At school, I throw myself into teaching with new attention to happiness. Students laugh more in my class and write stories about their future selves. One girl stays after class and says she feels brave because of me. Her voice repairs a small tear inside me I thought would never mend. I start eating lunch outside instead of hiding in the staff room. A colleague named Nick joins me and asks about my weekend plans. I almost say I have none, but I catch myself in time. I tell him I have pottery class, and he looks genuinely impressed. He says he would like to see what I make someday. The idea of someone being proud of me feels foreign but welcome. I walk home slower these days to notice the world not rushing me. I buy flowers, even when there is no occasion to justify them. I say no to dinners I do not want to attend. Small rebellions feel mighty in a life built on pleasing others. My mother calls asking why I missed Sunday gathering. I take a deep breath and say I needed rest. She sighs like I committed a crime against the family. But I do not rush to fix her disappointment anymore. I let the silence exist without apologizing for it. Before bed, I light a candle and write in my journal. I write that healing is not loud or dramatic. Healing is choosing yourself in moments no one sees. I underline every word like it is a vow. I hang my first pottery bowl on a shelf near the window. It tilts slightly, stubborn in its uneven shape. It reminds me of myself, learning to stand without permission. The moon rises over the buildings outside, silver and quiet. I promise to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. I promise to stop begging for crumbs of attention. Every breath tonight feels like a soft rebellion. And I am finally learning that I deserve better. My principal calls me into his office one morning with a rare smile. He hands me an evaluation filled with praise and genuine appreciation. Students wrote that my class helped them feel confident for the first time. I stare at the words like they are in someone else's story. But they are mine, earned through years of effort no one noticed. A new opportunity arrives to lead a summer writing program. The offer feels like sunlight after a long winter. I say yes without apologizing for wanting more. My hands shake, but from excitement this time, not fear. Later that week, I present at a regional conference for teachers. My voice trembles on the first sentence and then grows stronger. The audience nods and takes notes like what I say matters. Nick sends a message saying he is proud of me. His kindness lands softly where old wounds used to ache. He walks me to my car after school, asking if I want dinner. We eat noodles and talk about our favorite childhood stories. He listens with both eyes and heart open, no judgment, no rush. I lean back and feel seen without performing for it. We laugh over silly things, and it feels like warmth I can trust. On the weekends, I return to the pottery studio with steady hands. The instructor says I am learning to cooperate with the clay. I smile because it feels true in my life too. I shape a vase tall and smooth with a graceful curve. It feels like proof that I am capable of creating beauty. When the piece is finished, Nick asks if he can have it someday. I say maybe, pretending not to blush. I start saving money in an account labeled Future Home. Watching the numbers grow feels like building roots in the ground. I buy new curtains and a second-hand dining table that seats 4. I invite Aunt Han over for tea, and laughter fills my small home. She touches my hand and says she always knew I would rise. Her certainty steadies me more than she realizes. I hang photos of my pottery pieces on my wall like small victories. The space transforms into a home that reflects me, not expectations. My mother calls again, suggesting I host Easter dinner. I politely decline and feel the power in those 2 words. For years, they decided how I used my time. Now I choose what I give and to whom. I stop checking the family group chat for approval. Muting the notifications feels like unhooking heavy chains. One night Nick calls just to say he hopes I sleep well. The softness in his tone unravels knots tied deep inside me. I rest better knowing someone cares, without demanding anything. My therapist says my posture has changed, shoulders no longer curled inward. I notice it too, when I pass reflective windows on the street. I walk taller because I finally believe there is nothing wrong with taking space. Every step now carries intention instead of apology. Every choice now honors the person I am becoming. I am slowly learning that independence does not mean isolation. It means building a life where I am welcomed, even by myself. Nick drives us to the wedding venue under a clear summer sky. I smooth the fabric of my new dress, simple but chosen with love for myself. The garden glitters with fairy lights, and roses heavy with perfume. My brother Gia spots me the moment we step inside. He walks over too quickly, nerves tightening his posture. "You came," he says, sounding surprised I kept my promise. Nick introduces himself with a calm handshake and kind smile. I see Gia's eyes widen at the way Nick looks at me. Not as the spare child, but as someone worth standing beside. The reception buzzes with chatter until my parents notice me. My mother's smile is too wide and trembles at the edges. She comments on my dress, my hair, my life like she is checking a list. My father pats my shoulder, calling me his independent girl again. The old sting tries to rise, but I breathe and let it pass. I reply that independence is something I am proud of. Their surprise flickers like a candle, struggling in the wind. During the ceremony, I focus on holding my own hand steady. Nick squeezes my fingers gently when he notices my breathing shift. It feels grounding in a place that once made me shrink. Later, I find myself alone at the bar for a moment. I watch my parents whisper urgently near the cake table. Their usual confidence, replaced by something brittle and afraid. Gia approaches with his smile collapsing under truth. He admits things are bad financially at home, worse than they showed. He confesses he doesn't know how to take care of himself. For the first time in years, he looks younger than me. I tell him I understand the fear of standing alone. I do not offer to rescue him, but I do not leave him either. My mother interrupts, desperation leaking through her perfect tone. She hints that family should help each other in tough times. Her gaze lands on me like a bill finally delivered. I stand straighter instead of folding inward like before. I say my financial security cannot be sacrificed to fix old patterns. She blinks, stunned that I would protect myself first. My father joins, implying I should step up for the family name. The guilt script he knows so well fails to control me. I tell them calmly that respect must come before any request. Their silence falls heavy, uncomfortable, honest. Gia's voice cracks as he apologizes for not seeing me sooner. His humility softens a piece of me I thought was lost. Nick returns with drinks and stands close enough to shield me. Not from danger, but from the weight of past expectations. I look at the dance floor where the bride spins freely. I wonder if freedom always looks like twirling without fear. Gia asks if I can help him budget after the honeymoon. I agree, only because he asked with sincerity, not entitlement. My mother tries one more push framed as concern. I respond with truth wrapped in gentleness. I want a relationship based on respect, not obligation. She swallows tears, unsure if they come from love or loss. The music swells as I take Nick's hand and step outside. Cool air meets my bare shoulders with relief and promise. Nick tucks a strand of hair behind my ear, quietly proud. I realize I survived this night without abandoning myself. The stars above are indifferent, but I am not. I feel every breath like a declaration. I will not disappear ever again. I arrive at my parents' house exactly at 6, the sky turning violet outside. I sit upright in the armchair, feeling the timer ticking inside my purse. The room looks different, stripped of the expensive decorations they once flaunted. A cheaper sofa replaces the leather set they loved to show off. My father clears his throat and begins without ceremony. The business is struggling more than we expected. His voice tries to stay firm, but cracks around the edges of pride. My mother brings coffee to the table with too much sweetness in her smile. Family supports family, she says, gripping my hand as if that were enough. Gia sits across from me, hands restless, eyes lowered to the floor. I wait, letting the silence pull the truth out of them. They want money, but cannot say it directly without tasting shame. My father finally speaks plainly, desperation softening his tone. We were hoping you could help with your brother's expenses temporarily. The word temporarily trembles like a bridge made of tissue paper. My mother nods, insisting I have always been capable and strong. They praise my stability, only to twist it into obligation. I breathe steadily and reach into my purse. I place the Christmas card on the table, as gently as a blade. This is when I understood my place in this family. My father scoffs like I am being dramatic, unable to read symbolism. But Gia looks at the card, as if seeing it for the first time. I recount the birthdays, the scholarships, the silence. Not angrily, but with calm that cuts deeper than shouting. My mother presses fingers to her lips, tears threatening to spill. We did what we could, she whispers, fear mixing with denial. I shake my head, because intention does not erase the harm. You gave him abundance and gave me survival. My voice does not rise, yet the walls seem to listen. My father tries authority again, but authority no longer works here. We raised you to be strong, he argues, clinging to old excuses. No, I correct softly. I became strong because I had no choice. Gia finally speaks, sorry spilling out like water through broken glass. He admits he ignored me because it was easy to enjoy privilege. He says he wants to change, even if he is scared to start. I tell him I can teach him how to stand on his own feet. But I will not be his financial safety net anymore. My mother cries not out of guilt, but from losing control she always held. You're turning your back on us, she accuses, desperate and trembling. No, I say, I'm facing myself for the first time. My father looks away, realizing his rules no longer define me. The clock on the wall ticks past 7:30. 30 minutes left before I walk out on my own terms. I make my boundaries clear like lines in fresh cement. Respect me, or lose access to the parts of my life that matter. Gia nods, accepting the truth with quiet courage. My parents remain still, frightened of a future they cannot command. I pick up my purse as the timer in my heart buzzes softly. I love you, I say, but I will not disappear for you. The words hang heavy and luminous in the dim room. I step outside into the cool night air, breathing without permission. The stars watch quietly as I unlock my car. This time, driving away does not feel like escape. It feels like choosing a life where I am finally allowed to exist. I slide the key into the lock of my new apartment and turn it slowly. The door opens with a soft click, like the world welcoming me home. Boxes line the hallway, each labeled with pieces of the life I built myself. Nick sets down a container of books and wipes his brow dramatically. You really own all of this now, he says, smiling like it is a miracle. I nod because it still feels unreal to have something that is mine alone. Sunlight spills across the wooden floor I chose after months of saving. I walk barefoot, feeling each step anchor me to my own future. Aunt Han stands near the kitchen, arranging wildflowers in a vase I made. She says the way I have grown makes her heart feel full. Her pride feels like a blanket soft enough to rest under. Gia rings the doorbell, holding a house plant with shaky hands. He looks nervous, dressed simply instead of designer clothes. He tells me he started budgeting and found a small place to rent soon. He thanks me for teaching him, without shamming him for learning late. We sit at the table that used to feel too big for one person. Tonight it fits exactly the family I choose to keep close. My parents did not come, but I do not collapse from that absence. Their messages arrive weekly now, gentler than they used to be. I respond slowly, giving space for respect to grow in the cracks. I place my framed pottery pieces along a shelf near the balcony, each one crooked and brave, born from hands that once trembled with doubt. I open my banking app and add a small payment to my savings goal. The progress bar inches forward like a seed pushing through soil. Nick walks over and rests his chin on my shoulder quietly. He asks if I have thought about vacations or maybe a little getaway. His voice carries possibilities I used to think were for other people. I say maybe we can rent a cabin next summer near the mountains. He grins like I just handed him the moon wrapped in ribbon. Later, when night falls, everyone leaves with warm hugs at the doorway. The apartment becomes silent, but not in the lonely way it once felt. I sit at my desk and unwrap the card from last Christmas. I place it inside a simple frame next to the lamp. It no longer hurts to see it, because I survived what it represents. It reminds me that rock bottom was not a grave, but a foundation. I light a candle that smells like pine and calm afternoons. The flame dances like it understands the story I have lived. I write in my journal that today I feel safe in my own presence. I write that love does not have to be begged for or earned. I stand at the balcony and look out at the city lights flickering awake. This time, I am not watching from the outside of my own life. I am here, in the center of something I chose and cultivated. The night breeze brushes my skin like the beginning of a new chapter. I whisper into the quiet air that I am proud of myself. No applause. No audience. Still, it feels like victory. I close the balcony door and turn off the lights one by one. The darkness is peaceful, familiar, and finally mine. Morning light pours through my curtains like a gentle promise. I stretch beneath soft blankets and feel no weight pressing me down. The quiet in this home is not emptiness, but peace earned through courage. I boil water for tea and smile at the sound of my own small routine. The framed card rests on my desk, powerless now, just paper and ink. I touch the glass lightly and thank it for pushing me toward myself. I no longer crave apologies that may never come. I no longer measure my worth by what others decide to give. My phone buzzes with a message from Nick wishing me a good day. Another from Gia telling me his job interview went well. Both reminders that connection can grow from honesty, not sacrifice. I open my journal to a new page, blank and bright as possibility. I write that love which demands invisibility is not love at all. I write that I will celebrate every step, even if no one is watching. I close the book and place my hand over my heart, steady and sure. Today I choose myself again, and tomorrow I will too.